Hey y'all, it's Two Queers in a Truck. We're being a little bootylicious tonight. It is the Glee version of bootylicious, but just had to be a little bootylicious for my birthday week here. But anyway, this is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny-Jaymes, Gunn, and Christian Cano, my partner in crime and my boo.
Hey,
What are you doing?
just sitting here enjoying your birthday week.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of actually, of course, I don't really think about my birthday until it gets a little closer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is this week, obviously, but
It's a whole week, Jen. It's a whole
it
week.
always sneaks up with me on me, and it's one of those things. Some people really anticipate their birthday. Really,
Yeah.
I don't hate my birthday. It's always been very anticlimactic for me in my life.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you why. I think because my mom always downplayed her birthday a lot.
Yeah.
And we kind of got used to that. That's how I grew up. She did not like her birthdays.
So you started not to appreciate yours.
Just another day.
Okay. I see.
Most of my life, even my adult life, I usually work my birthday.
Really?
Almost always. I rarely even celebrate my birthday on my birthday. Like when I turned 50 3 years ago, I had it at a drag show almost 2 weeks after my birthday. Like it was almost the end of the month. And it just, to me, it's just, I don't know. I think birthdays are for kids. And then when you become an adult, it's great and it's fun. It's great to acknowledge it. But for me, it doesn't hold any more of a special spot than July 31st. It just something random. And also I think it's probably has a lot to do with my outlook on life.
Yeah.
Is that every day is a gift. Every day is special. And you should never take for granted every sunrise. And as somebody that's had so much loss in their life, with a brother dying, almost 20 years ago, and so many other people that I felt like they went away way too long, and have been around a lot of people that have taken their own lives, and lost a lot of community members in the trans community to suicide, which it is Suicide Awareness Month, and it's not something I'm going to talk about on the show, but to me, life's too short, and one day doesn't make or break me any more than the other. Along with, sorry to go to a downer route, but
that's okay.
I think every day is sort of a celebration.
Sure. Excellent. Good.
When you have that kind of loss.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we are going to jump right into our first subject, which is Starbucks, you're fired. A Starbucks show, actual store, fired one of the Starbucks United leaders for their union, and the whole staff decided, okay, you want to fire him, you fire all of us. So they all walked out. They videotaped it on the TikTok. Right, so basically had the TikTok tweaks and teens and all that getting revenge and showing their literal walkout on the TikTok live. The video got over 17 million views. Obviously, the store manager figured out they screwed up pretty big time, and justice was served. But it goes to show you the kind of era we're living in when an obscure Starbucks store gets 17 million views because
where was this?
I think it was up near Boston, but I didn't write down the city that it happened in.
Yeah.
But the manager figured out real fast that was a mistake, and TikTok and Instagram is easily becoming two platforms that not only can you dox somebody really, really fast if you don't know who their name is and they're yelling hatred, like what happened in Fort Worth, Texas, a week or two ago when that one lady was yelling, slurs towards a lady from
That's
India,
right.
and just you not only they found out where she's from, they got her arrested because she made threatening statements towards that lady from India, and it's just you got to love the social justice. And I think we saw it really emerge during all the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protests back in 2020. And we saw it being used as a communication tool, people showing the truth versus what the alt-right's trying to say was it was all thugs. And they're burning down cities. And Christian, you look at these protests and, well over 90% of them, according to the FBI, were nonviolent, completely nonviolent. And the ones that were violent typically were done by the Proud Boys and many of the other alt-right groups that were going in and throwing bricks and shooting off guns and breaking into stores just to make it look like, BLM was a violent movement, which it's not. And, that's the thing. Everybody's got a phone now. Everybody's got an ability to videotape live and take pictures live and be able to post them up to the world instantly. There's not, it's one of the greatest democracy tools probably ever invented because you can instantly become an outlet for the news and literally show in real time what's going on in an emerging situation that couldn't have happened a generation ago. And these young people, these Generation Zs, are weaponizing it in great ways and fighting back against disinformation and so many things. And it's coming out to the side of the people that are telling the truth. And it's really hard to lie about January 6th. We've all seen the video. We've all seen the footage. We all saw them before they got there, putting it up on their Instagram. Hey, we're going to go stop the steal. And I mean, that's how the FBI found a lot of them, is because of the stuff they put on the social media, and people captured it real quick before they could delete it and say, well, that's Roger over there in the county, and so much of the video used footage, not only at the time of January 6th, was caught on social media, but many days before, people were posting on their real estate pages and their business pages and their personal pages and bragging about it. We're showing their T-shirts, and so I think that's one of the, if there's like, you like to look for a silver lining, I think a silver lining is being able to stop abusers, because one of the ways to stop an abuser or a tyrant is to be able to prove to everybody that they're lying, that they're caught dead to rights. Just like I think it's great that the FBI is being very transparent with this documents thing with Trump, and just showing pictures of all these documents splayed out on the floor, saying, look, well, these are pretty real, and then releasing what they're about, and explaining how a real threat this is.
Yeah, notice how Trump hasn't, first he said that they declassified him and yada yada yada, and he's been backing away from that. So his original complaint is not the same as the current complaint. His attorneys didn't even say that because they didn't want to be called be sanctioned if they were saying a lie.
Well, how many of his attorneys have gone to jail?
Oh, exactly.
Or gotten disbarred? Just in the last 6 years, being a Trump attorney is pretty dangerous to your freedom. Like, you don't want to, and he's not above throwing you under the bus.
Yeah.
We'll be getting to that in a subject here later in the show about how quickly he will throw you under the bus. But I just think, and again, I said this in 2019 when I was foretelling that, Trump's going to go down. It's going to be his own people, and it's going to be other MAGAs and associates that are going to not jump off that bridge with him.
Yeah.
Subject number 2, Adam Stump Boebert. So in Boebert's congressional race out there in Colorado as the sitting congressperson, I'm her opponent, Adam, and I can't remember his last name, I didn't write it down, had a live debate. And he threw the question, would she be in favor of repealing the 19th Amendment? Which, for people that don't know the 19th Amendment, it is the right for white women to vote. And is the one that legalized white women to be able to vote. And she said, no, I'm not. I don't want to repeal it. But then he rapid fire asked another question and goes, would you be willing to vote to protect abortion in the case of rape, incest, the mother's life, that sort of thing? And then, because he knew she would say something stupid, and of course she did. She goes, well, would that have anything to do with repealing the 19th Amendment? And he was like, no, we already asked you that when you said no. It's a one-word answer. It's a yes or a no. But you could just tell. I'm not sure, 100% sure she even knew what the 19th Amendment was.
She doesn't.
I mean, you talk about somebody that just barely got their GED right before they got elected. I'm 99.9% sure. I'm not even sure if she knows what made abortion legal in the United States. She may not even know what Roe versus Wade is. It is scary that she could affect that policy, though. And I mean, how we talk about this all the time, but how ignorant the alt-right really is the not only is there a good portion of the MAGA nation very, very ignorant, very, very stupid, but many of the representatives are too. I mean, all they got to do is open their mouth to prove it.
They're not very bright.
No, we're not battling people that are the sharpest tools in the shed. Like, they're not sending their best and brightest at us. But I don't think there's many of them that qualify for that. Like, I mean, their cult leader, I mean, is, taking 1,100 documents or more, 1,100 that we know of, that the FBI knows of, and there's probably more floating around cyberspace and no telling where else, just flagrantly keeping it at his residence. So we're not talking about formidable opponents. We're talking about people that clearly have no shame, no interest in good governance or helping people or honestly anything other than power. I mean, literally, it's just about power. And are willing to tell their followers anything. Like, they don't care if it contradicts everything they say. It's just the new thought of the day. And you see the MAGA nation just, all you got to do is watch The Daily Show as they go and interview people at MAGA rallies. And it's literally one of the most funniest things is that they'll literally contradict themselves over and over again. But it's just kind of bizarre. They won't affect the race. I'm sure Bubba probably is going to win because the county and the area she's in is very, very Republican. But it's just kind of sad. It's kind of sad for the decent people of that district to have to be held hostage by a mouth breather mentality like that.
I think it's important to continue to damage her brand, just like Michelle Bachmann.
Yeah. You
damage it so much that even the people in the district start to go, okay, she's getting crazy even for us, which is not a high bar. The fact that they're even putting her there and they're saying this is the best and the brightest that we have to offer speaks volumes to them.
Because they don't really care. They don't, at this point, whatever's left of the Republican Party, which is just de-evolved basically the organized crime syndicate and a hate crime group, it's really just turned into the modern version of the KKK. There is no, they don't represent democracy in any way. They don't. When they voted against starving babies and the baby formula thing, like you have to wonder, like, I could get you voting against the LGBT community or trans people or new arrivals maybe, but babies, like when you spent 50 years trying to overturn Roe, and the result is more babies. It's going to be more forced births. But yeah, you don't want to feed them. at this point, you just go, hey, yeah.
But Jen, I ask you this question every week, and I will continue. Are you afraid of him?
No, not at all. Like,
exactly,
those type of people always lose. Like, they're in the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show. While E Code, he always loses, and I will never be afraid of that kind of a stupid person, because in a battle of the wits, they always come unarmed, and they're always going to lose. The problem is a lot of people get hurt and killed in the process, so that does bother me. It bothers me. It doesn't make me fearful though, because I know there's more of us than them, and I know they are just barely breathing. Stupid, like there's no fear that fascists are going to take over, because we'll never let it happen. So we'll take our first break right now, and then we'll come back for some more Two Queers in a Truck. Hey everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in a Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye. And we are back. And an interesting deal, so there is some celebrities that are pro-MAGA, which one of them is Jason Aldean's wife.
His wife
is just really, she's as one other country singer refers to her as Insurrection Barbie, and is just an absolute idiot, and was going off on trans people and stuff like that. So another country music singer, Maren Morris, just kind of struck back. First she did a conversation with another pro-LGBT country music singer, and they were talking about it. And then Tucker Carlson and Jason Aldean's wife, started talking about it and getting real ugly about it. So Maren Morris turned it around and got on the TikTok and the Instagram and did a fundraiser for a lot of transgender support groups and support organizations. They raised over like $100,000 in a weekend because of, Tucker and all them. And again, it's just like that girl that was in Florida that raised like $4 or $5 million for, reproductive care and abortion care and health care. It's again, we're battling people that are really, really stupid.
Yep.
And they just create opportunities to make themselves look stupider, but also empower us. And just like Trump did with Biden in a normal election probably would have lost.
Yeah.
But when you're so tragically stupid and wrong about everything, Biden won by 8 million votes. It was the biggest loss in American history. So lopsided, it wasn't even funny. And it just, they did everything they could to win and just couldn't. And it's just, again, the MAGA is just flaming out in so many different ways. I think it's to the point where there's just so few of them, and there's so few that actually believe in any of this crap anymore, that you are. I think when you start seeing the rats jumping off the ship the way you are, it's just the desperation. It is just, you can just feel it. You can feel the desperation. You can feel them losing their grip even on their own people.
But you know what's so sad, Jenny, is that this country music person and his wife, apparently the country music guy is similar to that, or he would be fighting back, or he would be saying, "Hey,
no, he's
hold
just
on."
His back. Yeah,
exactly. He's just not doing the same thing. He's letting her do it, and then he kind of tries to act like he's not involved in it or whatever. Well, the good news is his management group dropped him last week.
Yeah,
and so what I hope is obviously the free market's going to rule, but I understand why people like her do those things, because she's not going to have a career in country music. So she feels like she's got to create this niche, to to get whatever she's doing and all that kind of stuff. But what's really sad is in the country music world, they don't really like people like that. I mean, there are people like that, but that's not common. Their goal is to sell music.
Yeah.
Like Dolly Parton, her goal is to sell music.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like she's not just going to piss people who listen to like me off. She's also going to piss like regular country music people off because they don't want it. They don't want that kind of stuff in their music,
No.
And so, but bless her heart.
Yeah. All she's doing is proving her point about MAGAs. You can look at somebody like that, and you will never hear that from like a pro-Biden, pro-Democrat, pro-progressive person, and you won't hear that type of bigotry, that type of punching down for no reason. And that's the good thing is that we know we're on the right side of history. America clearly does because of what we saw in 2020. And hopefully, people out there are hearing this and hearing the two different brands, the two different choices, the two major parties that we have right now. And clearly, there's one side that is not saying this kind of crap, not saying, being a racist, homophobic bigot. And one side that clearly is choosing that pathway and is very proud about it. And so, people that vote with their conscience and are doing the right thing are not going to side with fascist crap like that. And, and kudos to President Biden for pointing out the fascism and for pointing out the hate, poking fun at it, taking it head on, and being, not afraid to do it. It is realizing the moment that he has an obligation to hit back and is as the leader of our party should, and we've been saying that for a long, long time. I'm glad to see a president actually do that. So there's a Republican talking head that went on the show, a CNN interview show, and they also booked Al Franken, a former congressman. And if you ever want to see how to handle a consummate MAGA liar, find this on Twitter, find it on Instagram. Yep. He absolutely showed the right way. He did not let this woman lie. He would not let her. He kept stopping the segment because basically what they were talking about was the stolen SCOTUS seats by Trump and by Mitch McConnell. And the hypocrisy of the logic, well, we can't seat a SCOTUS member in an election year. And they did that to the last year of Trump and not seating Merrick Garland. And then turned around a week before the election in 2020 and seats Amy Coney Barrett. And so Al Franken just stopped it right there and said, absolutely. And he pointed out those case studies because Chief Justice Roberts was trying to rewrite the narrative or make it look like there was nothing unusual about what happened and that those two seats weren't stolen. Al Franken completely is just like, no, it's never happened before. And then this Alice lady, Alice Stewart, so oh, no, historically it's happened before. And he goes, when? And then she tried to push on through. And he goes, no. When has that ever fucking happened in history? Mm-hmm. He says it's the first time, just like with many things with Trump, it's never happened before, like the attack on the Capitol. So he goes, historically, when has it happened? Name them. Well, I don't know. And he goes, but then don't say historically. It's never happened before. The answer is it's never happened before. It's not normal. It's not democracy. They hijacked two seats. There is no other way around that. And then what Mitch McConnell said is a lie. What Chief Roberts is saying is a lie. and they are lying, and he would not let up all throughout the segment, and he shut the conversation down the way we all should. The moment they start lying about stuff, you have to just shut it down. And it just like Al Franken is a hammer. He literally with his big old head just went at it, and I love it. And I know you've said that several times. Don't let them lie. Don't let them off the hook. When you got them on the hook, you keep going. You it's like in boxing when you got them on the ropes. You keep swinging. You don't let up and go, oh, let me give them some rest and a breather.
Because they do that to us.
Oh, 100%.
So why? I mean, I know I'm speaking of the choir, but I never understood why we're so polite. We're so afraid to say you're so full of shit. I mean, not saying full of shit, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
I don't even think. I think anymore. Sometimes you just got to say it the way you need to say it, and without slurring anybody, without demeaning anybody. But sometimes when people are shoveling shit, you got to say, "Hey, quit shoveling shit." There's at some point where politeness backfires because it makes us look like, well, maybe we're wrong, or it gives this idea that there's two sides to everything. There isn't two sides to what they did with the SCOTUS. They stole 2 seats. It's never happened before. That's how they got a six-person majority on the SCOTUS, is they had to steal it. They stole it from 2 different presidents, the one before the other guy, the former guy, and one after. And Biden should have been able to appoint Amy's seat, and Obama should have been able to put Garland on there. And neither one of them happened. And, because Scalia died way, way before the election, like even before Trump even was the nominee. Like we didn't even know who the Republican nominee was. This was like January and February of 2016. Plenty of time they've had hearings, plenty of time to have approved Merrick Garland. That was more than a worthy candidate. And so it just is interesting that now they're trying to rewrite history. They're trying to make it look, less dubious than it is. Because I know what they're worried about. They're worried about opening up investigations into why that happened, or the Congress next year rewriting the SCOTUS rules, maybe allowing a full 13 justices to be on there that'll match the 13 federal districts. Which is a possibility, and of course that would give Biden 4 nominations during 2023 and 2024, and putting on term limits, which I'm in favor of all that. I mean, I think Justice Thomas has a lot to answer for when it comes to January 6th and his wife and all the big lie enabling she's been doing, including being financially involved with that. So anyway, this is our second break, and then we'll jump right into the next segment.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
And we are back. I want to read a quote for the next segment, which is, religion is something that is left over from the infancy of our intelligence. It will fade as soon as we adopt reason and science as our guidelines for our society, which literally is one of the hangups that we have in our society, is that we still hang on to very ancient beliefs like Christianity and things of that nature, which probably for ancient people that was something because they couldn't really explain much. And so they had to have very simplistic stories to help guide them throughout their pretty awful lives. So there wasn't any modern conveniences or anything like that. So religion was provided a lot of guidelines, air quotes, morality, laws, things of that nature. Clearly, we don't need that anymore. We see how it backfires in the whole COVID experience. We see how it backfires in civil rights and human rights. We see how it backfires in our justice system and democracy with these outdated and obsolete ideals that hold no weight in our modern society, especially when it comes to universal basic incomes, universal health care, common sense things. Many people will use Christianity, the alt-right especially, will use it against these things, saying, well, and start using parables that Jesus did this and Jesus did that, which is completely misquoting the Bible. But they're using religion as a reason to deny people basic human rights and healthcare and things of that nature. And honestly, religion is probably something that needs to be put to bed or at least curtailed as far as operating as businesses and being influences on government. Like, you can speak it all you want. You have little prayer groups in your house. But in no way, shape, or form should it be a lobby or an influence over government. It has no place in government. And shouldn't be practiced in government, because you're basing it on a belief. You're basing it on your own personal beliefs. And as we all know, personal beliefs can be, we've seen it with cults. We've seen it with Jonestown. We've seen it with so much. It's probably time to start squeezing that out of democracy. We need to start having these conversations about what is allowed in our society and what's not. And because we've heard Robert say that, the Christian church needs to have dominion on government. We've heard that from a lot of them here lately, because they're self-professed Christians themselves. I want to have no accountability. And I'm like, well, I'm not real sure about the whole morality thing in you guys, but Bob is a former sex worker. We got MTG, that's a swinger. We got Cawthorn, that's a cousin humper. We've got we got Matt Gates, that's an alleged pedophile. That his friend that helped arrange it and traffic that young girl is already dropped dime on him and is serving time. Yeah. It just instance over instance. I'm like, well, if Christianity has immorality, you guys sure are practicing it. But quite frankly, I don't care about somebody's personal belief, but I don't want them using it to alter my government or change my access to certain kinds of healthcare, like PrEP, like we talked about in the other show, like using, religious employers weaponizing this or using it as some kind of religious freedom crap that's not in the Constitution. It very clearly, religious speech is protected in the First Amendment. That's it. It does not say churches can do what they want when they want, and you can't stop them. That has nothing to do with the Constitution or religious speech at all. And I just find it bizarre that we've allowed our courts to be held up in that crap and our governments to start being afraid to push back against that kind of stuff. That's the most dangerous thing I see on the horizon, is allowing Christianity to hijack our democracy. And
I agree.
and dangerous. And dangerous.
Yes.
I mean, because what happens if I decided to make up a religion? Like many other religions, that this all of a sudden somebody woke up and goes, I want to create this, and just boom, all of a sudden you got a brand new church, a brand new religion, a brand new subchapter of Christianity. We saw this with the Mormons. All of a sudden, boom, there was it's a brand new church in America, a couple hundred years ago, and then it's turned into a 10 million person worldwide phenomenon. What happens when they say, well, we're a great American religion here, and we're going to go by Mormon rule instead of Catholic rule, or which church do you pick? Which doctrine do you pick? I mean, it's all based on personal belief and how you were raised and all that. And I get that. But in no way, do I want religion to rule my government? Never. Keep that to yourself. It's kind of like football teams. Some people were Cowboys fans. Some people were Eagles fans.
Everyone's a Cowboy fan.
Yeah. I mean, of course, yeah. But see, and that's the perfect point. Like, big Catholic fans are going to love everything about the Catholic Church. But the problem is, what about the Baptists? What about the Lutherans? And it just gets bizarre. And it opens up Pandora's boxes that we could spend centuries destroying our planet fighting over religion when we don't need to. Interesting stopover for Trump this weekend. He hurriedly made a stopover in Washington, D.C. And not that it has anything to do with it. And right before he made a guest appearance in Washington, D.C., 40 of his closest associates got subpoenaed and many of their phones got seized. There was a lot of speculation on whether he was getting arrested or subpoenaed or whatever, and then they found out. Of course, the Department of Justice, after it had already subpoenaed and seized many of the phones of these 40 associates of Trump at a surprise raid times 40, they didn't release that information until after they'd successfully subpoenaed these 40 people. And it all has to do with January 6th. But all of a sudden, Trump hurriedly was seen getting off a private plane with his golf outfit on, still wearing the golf spikes. And they hurriedly went to his Virginia golf course, where they had basically a Tony Soprano type golf course meeting with a whole bunch of his known associates, probably the ones that got subpoenaed. And of course, Trump was sitting there with his golf stuff on and his golf clubs, and nobody else did. And they were just sitting there talking in the middle of the golf course because it's hard to spy on somebody with listening equipment. And just like from the show The Sopranos, and very interesting. It's making for some really good memes. Twitter's blowing up about it. A lot of people are laughing about it. Obviously, it's very unusual for a former president to just do it that way. And it led, especially on September 11th of all days, the timing couldn't be any richer or funnier. Clearly, it kind of hid the news of Biden's speech on September 11th, and it really took over all the internet chat. There was a bunch of postings about why it happened and all that. So it was a very interesting Sunday, to say the least, and carrying over into today. When I woke up this morning, I already heard commentators making their usual observances and that sort of thing. And I don't know if you've heard about this or seen any in the chat.
I did. I saw that. I saw a brief snippet on it, and I thought, of course, people were curious what was going on. And of course, this late in the game, it's after Labor Day, but 90 something days to election. I don't know what the days are. The more I hear about Trump, the happier I am.
Yeah.
I just want to hear as much about Trump. I want us to talk about Trump. I want it to be about Trump, because the more we talk about Trump, the more people, I hope, go, God, I just don't want this to happen again.
Yeah.
And so I'm so happy. I did read an article the other day that the Republican Party is really concerned because their whole message has been about inflation, gas prices, and so. And they're afraid this close to the election, it's not resonating as much as the abortion issue is. And so they're going to start attacking woke culture, the things that they think they can work. The mainstream Republican Party candidates want to stick to inflation. So there's a fight between them right now. And the only thing I can think of is, yay, because they're going to confuse it. Because The people who want to talk about inflation, they're going to talk about inflation. And as gas prices keep going down, it's going to hurt them. The people that want to talk about the crazy stuff, I think that's wonderful because it makes middle of the road people not like him anymore. So I see them continue to implode, and I'm getting happy.
Well, and I've seen some of the same articles about
Yeah.
The candidates that hung their candidacy on Trump are really doing bad in the polls because there's no way to divorce yourself from that, like Dr. Oz, many of these other MAGA candidates all the Republicans in the House, most of them attach themselves to the MAGA bandwagon. And now that, 1,100 documents have shown up at his house, all these January 6th things are just coming to light by the day. You see more and more of the insurrectionists just one by one going to jail, getting bigger sentences. More information's coming out about it, more attachments. Now you see the Department of Justice literally subpoenaing 40 of his closest associates and grabbing phones from them, seizing phones with the evidence on it. You're seeing kind of like the latter days of the Watergate when, Nixon started really squirming and hee-hawing around in 1974. You're seeing Trump in that same situation, he's getting more and more agitated. He stayed off Truth Social for about 12, 13 hours straight. And this is a guy that just is constantly blowing up his own social media company and truthing all the time. And also he literally went quiet, completely quiet for the rest of yesterday after the golf course meeting and a good chunk of today. And then when he did get on, he sounded very erratic and very, very disjointed. The one thing that will kill the MAGA movement and the Republicans is having a very disjointed message. That was Trump's one single PowerPoint, which I think that's what you were saying too, was in 2016, the messages were very succinct, very, very blunt, very racist, very homophobic, very galvanized. In 2020, not so much. And in 2022, they're just in flipping trouble. I mean, after 6 years of craziness that he's been doing, and now a messy, messy track record, and on top of it, different factions of the Republican Party saying way different things and them going after each other, and the Madison Cawthorn mess. And, you're looking at Boebert and her husband just running over mailboxes in Colorado, and you're seeing these people coming unglued, methodically banning, being let off in cuffs. I mean, after stealing wall money, and it's just one thing after another. They're losing their allies, which, by the way, I think is interesting that he got let off in cuffs last week, and 40 of Trump's closest associates got popped on Sunday. I haven't heard anybody talk about that, but I did think it was very interesting. I don't know if they have anything to do with each other, but it was very fascinating timing that Bannon, one of his inner circle people, was in custody just days before, and he was saying something about having begun the fight. You wonder how much singing he really did. Maybe had nothing to do with each other. I just thought it was amazing timing, by the way. It was just food for thought. But when I was thinking about this when I was working today, I was like, the timing's not lost on me. I don't think I haven't seen anybody bring it up in the media yet.
I haven't heard anything about it. Yeah.
But, could be just a coincidence. I'm not a real big fan of coincidences, but who knows? Who knows? But I sure found it interesting that Bannon turned himself in, and then all of a sudden 40 of Trump's associates got popped. And so, at the very least, I'm just happy to see it. I'm happy to, just like you, I'm happy to see their messaging.
The dysfunction.
Yeah, and you just look at him. You look at the pictures they took of them out on the golf course, and he's sitting there looking like an idiot with with golf equipment and his golf bag, and everybody else just standing there listening to him pontificate. And you can't help but not laugh just a little. You just go, oh, these are the last days for them. It's not pretty. And the Department of Justice is slowly just circling the wagons on them, and it's kind of pretty to watch. It's kind of all those.
It does bring satisfaction.
Yeah, I mean, all the years they call us snowflakes. And all the years,
exactly.
Then just get over it. You guys lost, and Hillary's
Payback's a hell.
And just lock her up, and we look at it now, and she was completely right in 2016. She was completely spot on, and you just see that final victory lap coming, and it's like Christmas. We're excited for it to be here. We definitely want more of it, and I enjoy every subpoena, every record recovery, every little thing makes my little queer heart happy as they go off in history as the shit stains that they really are. But on that note, I guess we'll go out with a little bit more bootylicious and wrap up the show.
All right. Good show, Boo.
See you later, man.
Bye. See you next week.
See you next week. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck. We're having a bootylicious weekend and a birthday weekend for myself. And hope that y'all have a great week. Be safe out there.
Bye. Bye, Boo.